All right, ready to jump in. Today, we're diving into the world of, well, let's be honest, one of the most secretive organizations out there, the Mossad. We're going behind the curtain, or at least trying to, with excerpts from this Wikipedia article on the Mossad.
And it's a curtain with a lot of layers to it, trust me. A lot of what we'll be talking about today, it's based on whispers, speculation, maybe a declassified document here and there. The Mossad doesn't exactly put out a press release every week.
Right. That's what makes this so fascinating. We're talking about an organization so good at staying hidden, they don't even reveal their budget. So for those of us who aren't spies, what are we talking about when we say Mossad?
Officially, it's the Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations. Think of it like Israel's version of the CIA, but like way more secretive.
Yeah. Okay, so top-level stuff. What's their main focus? What are their priorities?
So this Wikipedia article, it breaks down their mission into three main things. Gathering intelligence, obviously, covert operations, and this one's a given, fighting terrorism. They're like the eyes, ears, and sometimes even the strong arm, of Israel's whole security setup.
And if this article is right, they answer directly to the prime minister. That's a pretty direct line to the top. What does that even mean in terms of, I don't know, their power?
It means they've got a level of autonomy, of power, really, that most intelligence agencies wouldn't even dream of. Now, is that a good thing? Bad thing. Depends who you ask, I guess. But it definitely makes them a force to be reckoned with, no doubt about it.
No argument there. But let's get into the details a bit. How does an organization like this even operate? What do we know about their structure?
You'd think they'd keep that lockdown tighter than, I don't know, Fort Knox or something. And you'd be right. Officially, it's classified. But, like any good mystery, there are clues. It's widely believed they've got these specialized divisions for different tasks.
Like the Zamet division. Sounds like something out of a spy movie. What's the deal with them?
They're the espionage pros, basically. Think infiltrating other governments, organizations, the works, just to get information. We're talking deep cover, fake identities, you name it.
And then you've got Caesarea, right? The article links them to special operations. And we have AVE to mention the Kidon unit. This is where it gets really interesting, the Mossad's elite assassination squad.
Now, to be fair, a lot of what we hear about the Kidon unit is, well, let's call it speculation, right? But even the rumors are pretty intense. They're said to be involved in some of the Mossad's most daring and, let's be honest, controversial operations.
Yeah, pretty chilling stuff. But it's not all secret agents and shadowy figures, right? This article also mentions a Kishet unit. Who are they?
They're the cyber warfare specialists. In this day and age, information is king, and the Mossad, they definitely know that. Having a top-notch cyber division is crucial.
Which might explain why they're launching their own venture capital fund. Now, that is thinking ahead.
It's true. They're putting money into high-tech startups, basically trying to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to, well, tech. Makes you wonder, what's espionage going to look like in 10, 20 years, right?
It's wild. But let's go back to the, how do I put it, more old school methods for a second. This article talks about two key players, the Katsa and the Scion. Can you break those down for us?
Sure. The Katsa, they're your classic field agents. Highly trained, the ones recruiting and managing assets all over the world. They build relationships, gather intel, the whole 9 yards.
Which is where the Cyanim come in, right?
Yeah.
This is where it gets really wild. They're like volunteers a lot of times, Jewish citizens living abroad who provide support, logistical stuff to the Mossad.
And when I say logistical support, I mean anything you can think of.
Yeah.
A safe house, running a quick errand, really anything. The key thing is they're not doing it for the money or fame or anything like that. It's purely out of loyalty to Israel.
This article gives examples like someone to rent a car for you, a place to lay low, even a fake passport. It's kind of freaky when you think about it. Potentially thousands of these Cyanim all over the globe just living normal lives. Makes you look at your neighbors a bit differently, right?
It definitely adds another layer to things, doesn't it? But remember, their whole thing is being unnoticed. We'll probably never truly know just how big their network is.
Speaking of things that are hard to pin down, let's talk about some actual Mossad operations, allegedly. This is where it gets juicy.
It's important to keep in mind, trying to definitively say the Mossad did this or that was definitely them, it's almost impossible. A lot of it is speculation, but that's all part of the mystique, isn't it?
Okay, fair enough. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about it, right? Like Operation Diamond back in '66. We're talking about rescuing an Iraqi pilot who defected and his whole family. Talk about high stakes.
Oh, it was daring, for sure. They supposedly smuggled the pilot's family out of Iraq bit by bit, showed real commitment to protecting their assets and to getting valuable information.
And the information they got from that pilot, we're talking Soviet MiG fighter jets at the peak of the Cold War.
I like
Talk
these.
about a game changer.
Exactly. Goes to show how much one well-placed asset can change things on a global scale.
Absolutely. And of course, we can't forget about their hunt for Nazi war criminals after World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, capturing Adolf Eichmann in Argentina in 1960, that's the stuff of legends.
It was a huge moment for them, really solidified their reputation as a force to be reckoned with. For many people, they became a symbol of justice, of retribution.
For sure. Eichmann, I mean, he was one of the architects of the Holocaust in hiding for years. The fact that they just snatched him out of Argentina and brought him to justice in Israel, it sent a message. There's no escaping accountability, not for crimes like that.
Absolutely. And then you've got something like Operation Moses in '84, the airlifting of Ethiopian Jews out of Sudan. I've got to admit, the idea of the Mossad being involved in humanitarian efforts, it's not the first thing that comes to mind.
It's definitely a different side of them, not what you usually hear about. But then you have the more recent stuff and more controversial stuff too, like the alleged assassinations of scientists connected to the Iranian nuclear program.
Right. And these alleged assassinations, whoever you think is responsible, it highlights just how real the anxieties about nuclear weapons in the Middle East are. And it makes you think about the whole morality of espionage, you know? When a country feels like its existence is being threatened, where do you draw the line?
It's a tough question. No easy answers there. And then there's the assassination in Dubai, the Hamas commander in 2010. Talk about a real-life spy movie.
Right.
Fake passports, a hit squad pretending to be tourists. It's like something you'd see in a film.
It just goes to show how blurry the lines can get between fiction and reality when you're talking about espionage. That operation caused a lot of anger from other countries and brought the whole shadowy world of intelligence agencies into the spotlight.
Speaking of the big screen, let's talk about how the Mossad is shown in pop culture. Movies, TV, books, they're everywhere. It's like everyone thinks they can spot a Mossad agent on the street.
That's part of the problem, isn't it? Pop culture loves to make spy work seem glamorous, exciting, you know? Plays into that fascination we have with secrets and spies.
Guilty as charged. I love a good spy movie. You got any favorites?
I'm a big fan of Munich. It's about what happened after the massacre at the Munich Olympics in '72 and Mossad's mission to find the people who did it.
Oh, great pick. Though I'm also a sucker for Swordfish. Pure action. But hey, sometimes you just need a fun, over-the-top spy flick, you know?
Of course. But it's important to remember these are fictionalized stories. They might borrow from real events, but you can't take them as totally accurate depictions of how this world works.
Good point. Good point.
It's easy to get caught up in the Hollywood version, you know? But the reality of intelligence work, it's way more complicated and honestly, often a lot less clear-cut, morally speaking.
No doubt. So, having gone through this Wikipedia article, what's the main thing you take away from all this? What do you want our listeners to really understand about the Mossad?
I think the biggest thing is this. The world of intelligence is secretive for a reason. It's not always about good guys and bad guys. We get these glimpses into what the Mossad does, but the full story, the why, the how much it costs, all of that, it usually stays hidden. And that's intentional.
It's like trying to put together a puzzle, but you're missing half the pieces. You kind of see the picture, but you're never really sure.
Exactly. And with an organization like the Mossad, I mean, they even keep their budget a secret. We have to accept that some things we'll just never know for sure.
Which, let's be real, makes it even more interesting. Like that old saying, the mystery is more fun than the answer, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself. That sums up our little deep dive into the Mossad today.
I'd say so. We've uncovered some wild stuff, their history, how they're structured, the operations they've allegedly pulled off.
Everything from rescuing people to taking out their enemies, right? We've seen it all.
And yet, like you said, so much of it is still a mystery. It's almost like the more we learn, the less we actually know. Which I guess brings us to our final thought, and maybe the most interesting one. Think about it. We started with just this Wikipedia article, right? And if a country's safety depends on keeping its enemies in the dark, how much do we really know about the Mossad, even after all this?
Makes you think, doesn't it? We've spent all this time putting together these little pieces of information, but really we're only seeing what they want us to see.
It's like they say, the best lies have a little truth in them. Maybe the Mossad's greatest trick isn't, vanishing their agents or having crazy gadgets, but actually controlling how we see them, the whole story we tell about them.
Exactly. They decide what we know, confirming just enough to keep us guessing, but never showing the whole picture. It's like a game of smoke and mirrors, but on a global scale.
And maybe that's the biggest lesson here. When you're talking of espionage, especially with an organization like the Mossad, you can't really be certain about much.
Because, like we've seen, what's real and what's made up, what we know for sure and what's just rumors. The lines get blurry, and sometimes those rumors tell you more than any official statement ever could.
So next time you see a headline about the Mossad, or you're glued to some spy thriller, remember what we talked about today. There's always more going on than meets the eye.
Keep asking questions, keep digging for the truth, and never underestimate the power of a good secret.
Until next time, stay curious.